on the corner. I'm posted on the corner.
Posted on the corner with yours truly, Incognito.
And DJ Misses.
DJ Misses, you want to get unplugged?
Let's get unplugged with it.
You want to talk to a Grammy-nominated
hello, singer,
songwriter,
MC, all across the board, and beat maker. She's getting into it.
Represent Baltimore.
Be more in the house.
Come on, Mumu Fresh in the studio.
I love that. Oh, man. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for your time, coming here to shine your light on the great things that you're doing this year and setting yourself up for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe you've been on the road.
Yeah.
You've stopped in Baltimore, Philly, Chicago, but you're here in Atlanta tonight for a special event.
Yeah.
Mumu Fresh Unplugged.
Yes.
Yep.
How did this come about?
I mean, the fans really been asking for it, because sometimes I would end up featuring with other people and kind of doing stripped down versions, or like we had a show in Detroit that ended up getting postponed, but I felt like, I got a lot of love in the Midwest. I was like, you know what, we just going to go ahead and do a pop-up and just, strip it down, just meet the people, bring the merch out, sing your favorite songs, you know what I mean? Just like play some board games, like really like connect with the people. And like ever since then, people have been asking like, man, when you gonna do something like that? Why you do that for my city? Because, we went live and everything. So I was talking to my agent like, we should do something that's like real intimate, real stripped down, like where we can just talk to the people, do different renditions and different ways than we have. Because my full band show is very high energy, it's fast paced, we moving from song to song, and a lot of times you don't get the intimacy of like, let me talk to you for a minute. Hold on. Let me put my sultry voice on.
Yeah.
Would you mind? You know what I mean? You don't get that all the time. So, yeah. So it's like, all right, we want to do this. And we wanted to do, I've been saying for years, I wanted to do an unplugged album. You know what I mean? It's just a different feel. You have I started off as a live performer. I learned how to record in the studio, but like my heart is definitely on stage. Like, you know what I mean? I come alive. Like some people prefer to be in a booth. Like that's where they magic happen. And I can do that, but I love being on stage and feeding off the energy of the people. Yeah. We crack jokes. We go back and forth. You know what I mean? We just have like a really great time. So I wanted to capture that, on wax.
That's dope. So how did you know that you had a love for music and this was the lane that you wanted to be in?
I feel like it chose me. I'm like third generation musician, singer, songwriter, musician in my family. Like my grandmother was a gospel choir director. My mother was a jazz singer. My uncle was in a doo-wop group. My other uncle was a heavy metal bassist, in all of these rock bands in New York in the 60s and 70s, you know what I mean? So I grew up in music. I probably wrote my first song when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
And then I started going to like open mics in Baltimore, like different, battling down on at Organic Soul Tuesdays. They used to be at this place called Club Intellects. I wasn't even old enough to get in, but they knew I was an artist, so they
jamming.
Yeah, so they let me in there. You know what I mean? And we'd be in there, and then when I moved to DC, I'll be on U Street. I went through all of those. Everywhere that just you would shed and build your skills up. I hit all them clubs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Jumped on with the live band and I learned to perform very early with live musicians. Sometimes artists don't learn that until they get a deal and somebody put a band together for them. But I started with musicians. I was in a jazz band in high school, so in that jazz band, when we was not gigging at school, we would do rap music at home. And then we started recording that. So that was like, it just was a part of just the culture, the energy. That's just what was happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just made sense. Like when I graduated high school, I ended up winning Baltimore's first Idol. So like when the American Idol started, I became Baltimore's Idol, and so that kind of was like a layup. It just set me up, so I started recording my album, and Fox 45 News and 92Q had me on, the Big Fat Morning Show, all that stuff back in the day. I was a teenager, and they was, really supporting what I was doing. And so I was just learning from the cats like Fertile Ground and groups like that, jazz bands that was on the scene in Baltimore. I was just learning how to do this, how to make money doing music, how to be a professional, how to really like have my business in order from some of the cats that that was already doing it heavy, you know. So it just made sense. It was like the next move. All right, cool. Let's do this. All right, bet. All right, we going on tour? All right, look, let's do that then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you knew your purpose early on in life.
Yeah, for sure.
That's dope.
For
So
sure.
how did you and the Roots link up back in 07?
Yeah, so I ended up around the same time where I remember I met Raheem Devon and at a open mic in Baltimore. And I saw like how he was commanding and controlling the crowd. And I came up to him afterwards. I was like, hey, I want you to teach me how to do that. What you doing right now? Teach me how to do that, you know? And he's the first person I recorded in the studio with.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to his studio with his producers. We recorded our first song. And then I started recording the band, and I was like, all right, he's like, you gotta get an album if you really want to do this. So all right, cool. So we writing songs, we recording them, and it got the attention of some producers in Philly, and so we ended up moving up to Philly to work on some music with them, and they were in the same studio with the Roots. So like all of these studios are called Larry Gold's, and so all of these studios inside this one building, everybody from L. Cool J, Missy Elliott, you know, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, Music Soul Child, like all of these people, they will all be in the same studio just recording.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm like maybe 18 years old at this point. So I'm just sitting in the sessions, just kind of learning and watching. And so a producer and songwriter named Dice Raw, you know, he asked me if I could write. I was like, yeah. He was like, all right, sit in the session with me. So I would sit in the session and I would just start writing with him, doing writing sessions while the Roots was on tour. And when they would come back home, he would play them stuff that I had written. So they really liked a song that me and Dice worked on together called Don't Feel Right. And we recorded it. It got nominated for a Grammy, and they asked me to go on tour.
Come on.
That's
So that's
tight.
how it worked.
That's so
I
tight.
love the way that your passion has led you to some of your greatest memorable moments.
Yes.
Take me back to when you were 7 years old. Was Mumu Fresh your first artistry name?
No. I have had so many different artist names. The first one I can really remember, when I was about 12, I started a rap group with my cousin, Omari, he was North Star, and I was Lunar Eclipse.
Come on now.
Okay?
I like that though.
Yeah, so we was deep little kids. So we were homeschooled, and we were studying a book by Ivan Van Sertima called Blacks in Science, and they were talking about the Dogon people of Mali, West Africa, and that they had knowledge of astrological, phenomenons. And there was one called the Sirius B star, and this is a time when they saw this star, a new leader would be chosen, a new harvest season would happen, right? And so we were like, damn, that's us. You know what I mean? Like we that star that's igniting new leadership, a new harvest, like a new school, you know what I mean? A new way of thinking. And so we're 12 years old, okay?
That's why I say y'all was deep.
12. But honestly, like that's how we came up. You know, our
That's dope.
parents were Muslim and were hardcore revolutionaries. So we was at all the, Mumia protests and the I feel like we was at some Nelson Mandela protests when we was kids, and every kind of protest you could think of, we was there as little kids. And so we grew up learning this kind of sitting with these elders that were that was talking this stuff. You know what I mean? We was sitting with Jewel Pookrum and Khalid Muhammad. We used to, like, they would be at our crib. You know what I mean? So we was listening to these conversations and being fed that kind of information. And so that was our group. So everything around that was like astrological. So yes, I was Lunar Eclipse. Yeah. If you look at my first like public record, I recorded a song with Common on the B album with him and Kanye, and it's called How Beautiful Love Can Be on the Streets. Love is hard to see. I can't think of the title. It's a place I got to be. Loving you is loving me. I think it might be called Love Is. I think it's called Love Is. But anyway, so I'm on that song. But if you look at the credits, it'll say Lunar Eclipse on that song. Yeah.
So when did you land on the name Mumu Fresh?
That really came once I was on tour with the Roots. Like, Black Thought just kept saying that. Like, so Mumu was a name my mother would call me, like, affectionately, But yeah, I think it was like I don't know. I was probably on there beatboxing, trying to, take up for Scratch not being there, or Rozelle or something, doing my poor attempt at a Rozelle impersonation. And but yeah, he would just be like, on the beat is Mumu, fresh, And so then that just kind of became, it was Mumu Fresh, Mumu Freezy, all these different variations of Mumu Fresh. And then when I did Tiny Desk, my Instagram handle was Mumu Fresh, and when I did Tiny Desk, they promoted it as Mumu Fresh, and then when I did Sway in the Morning, they promoted that as Mumu Fresh. So when the Tiny Desk went viral, people were searching for Mumu Fresh and not Maimouna Youssef anymore. So it literally I changed, because before all my older records before the Tiny Desk are under my birth name, Maimouna Youssef. And all my records after that are under Mumu Fresh, because that's what people was looking for. So it was kind of like, oh shit, okay.
I guess that's what y'all like.
Yeah, that's, you know what I mean?
That's
and I guess it's easier for people. That's what my web guy said too. He said, Moo, no one can spell your name. He's like, it's going to be easier for them to find Mumu Fresh. So I was like, all right, cool.
That's dope. So you've been on tours,
Yeah,
honey.
for a
So
long
what
time.
has been the craziest moment that you can remember on tour, being on tour?
I don't know. I don't have like a bunch of real wild stories. You know what I'm saying? Because I stay on point.
I know that's right.
I stay on point.
I know that's
I'm
right.
saying I don't have a bunch of like that one night when we were all I don't have no stories like that.
It could have been like the drummer ain't show up. Or
Well, yeah, that happens often. Well, one time we went to Nigeria to do a show.
Wow.
And so someone left a voicemail on my mother's phone, which was like, wow,
What?
how do you even know my mother's number?
Right.
And he said, I'm looking for Maimouna Youssef. I think that she can be very influential to the youth of Nigeria. I want to fly her to Nigeria, right? So when my mom, played it for me, I was like, that's weird. Who is that? Like, that's so random.
Right.
And he didn't stop. He found different people connected to me. He reached out to another woman who was a friend of my mom's, who was a Sangoma from South Africa. And she was like, hey, this guy, he reached out to me. He's a Hare Krishna priest from Nigeria, and he wants you to come out there. And I was like, this man is not giving up. So anyway, I had my manager reach out to just see what was going on. And he was like, she needs to be here. She needs to reconnect with the motherland. She needs to reconnect with the youth out here, do some workshops, do some work. Because I have an educational platform for music education. So, so we flew. We was like, all right, let's see what's up. So we flew out to Nigeria. The day that I got there, I had on some Army fatigue jeans from Urban Outfitters.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that was a sign that you were in a military coup. And so I'm outside waiting on our driver, and I don't even know what the proper title for this unit is. Mm-hmm. But they pulled heavy machinery weapons out on me.
Wow.
And I wasn't sure what they were saying. But I was like, oh my God, am I about to die right now? All of this for nothing? Seriously? So I'm just I'm just still, right? Because I'm I ain't never seen guns this big. And he's just so a friend of mine from Kenya is there, and he's saying that you can't wear these Army fatigue pants, right? He thinks you're in the militia. I was like, look how tight they are. Clearly, I'm not fighting anyone. What? I was like,
I'm trying to look cute.
Right. Tell them they came from Urban Outfitters.
Just tell them
I'm
about it.
I'm a singer. Tell them I'm a singer. So he's talking to him, because he spoke English, but his accent was just really heavy, and I was just panicking, right? So anyway, so he's just like, tell her she can't have. I was like, I'll take them off here now.
Right.
He's like, no, don't take them off. So anyway, so they have this whole conversation. So he's like, all right, you can't wear these pants in our country. I was like,
y'all should have told me that.
I left them there. Do you hear me? I threw them in the trash.
Don't care.
Yeah, but we had an incredible time. We spent about 2 weeks. We did do a lot of educational programming. We shot some music videos.
Right.
I ended up meeting Femi Kuti, the son of Fela Kuti. Wow. And, we went out to his crib. We recorded a song together. We performed at the legendary shrine, Fela's Shrine. And it was an incredible experience. We got shook down by the police a couple more times, but other than that, it was good.
Yeah.
We had an incredible time. So that was definitely a memorable experience on tour in Africa. Yep.
Definitely. So tell us more about your online music education program.
Yeah, so it's called University Studies. And I realized that a lot of artists do not know, we don't know how the business of music works. And you don't, like most other crafts, right? You kind of have their steps to get there. You go to college, you take this many years of this, then you go do an internship, and then you, but with music, it's not like that. It's a lot of different ways that it can happen. It's a lot of ways to fail. It's probably more ways to fail than succeed. And when you're talking about how to be independent, how to be an entrepreneur, you know, like sometimes artists, we don't look at this like any other business where you need a business plan, you need a marketing plan, you need a strategy, you need a goal in mind. You need to know what you want to get out of this, you know, and because otherwise, like many of us don't arrive alive. By the time you get to where you want to go, you're so broken inside because of the journey that it took you to get there. It doesn't even feel worth it, you know? And so because I'm a person that I'm really a nerd. I'm really a nerd at heart. I was that person that was sitting with the lawyer. All right, so teach me what you know. So let me understand the legal language. Don't just tell me what I should do. Explain to me why I should do it and what word in here says I should or should not. And what's the definition and what's the connotation of that and how is that normally used, right? So I will always hear things about what's standard, but it doesn't mean that it's fair. And it doesn't mean that I have to agree to it. It doesn't mean that you know what I mean? So I had to create for myself. Like that might be standard for you, but that's not okay for me. That's not good enough for me. And it's not how I want to do my own business, right? I have to maintain ownership of these things. Okay, you've never seen this structured this way, but this is how it has to happen for me to participate because I'm looking at the long term. I want to make sure my grandkids are able to eat, not just your grandkids, but my grandkids too, you know? And so many artists, we just weren't having these conversations. We didn't know how to do audits to find where all the money was being hidden. You know, we when we see miscellaneous, you know, that we owe a miscellaneous amount of $500,000 and we can't even ask, what was it for? You get what I'm saying? It's like we weren't having those conversations. And so I started this online education platform to help us to understand business, you know, to and then also artistically to, you know, to do songwriting classes. And then I started another portion called Heart Song, which is therapeutic songwriting. So that is like unpacking our subconscious. Right? So, because a lot of times your subconscious guides the way that you move in the world, unbeknownst to you. You know what I mean? The things that you believe secretly, not the things you say publicly, but the things that we're taught when we're small, the beliefs about ourselves that are hard to break. We're like a computer. You got to rewrite that hard drive. So if you've been, you know what I mean? If you've been conditioned a certain way, even when you learn something new, if you don't go back and rewrite that and reprogram yourself, that's why affirmations work. We are computers. We got to reprogram ourselves because so many of us, especially Black folks, we've been taught to hate ourselves on so many levels. Our confidence was broken before it was even built. And so we're working against that all the time to believe that we do deserve something, that we can achieve something, and that we can pass it on, you know? And so those are things that we talk about in University Studies. And I've had the pleasure of, I've taught in Japan. You know, I have a whole Japanese section of University Studies. I'm going to Dubai next month to teach there, to teach music education. I've been, you know, NYU. I've been to Drexel. I've been to all these different, you know, a lot of different schools because, you know, no knock to the music departments of various schools, but a lot of times those teachers have not been in the music business. They don't know what it's like. You can read about it, but until you're a part of this thing, you don't know what it, right? Because there are things that happen that they'll say don't happen, but we know they happen. And unless you're a part of it, you don't really understand how this thing really goes.
Sound like our industry.
Mumu
Fresh is here with yours truly, Incognito and DJ Misses. I understand that you were born and raised in Baltimore and then you spent some time in Philly. So I want to have some fun this or that questions between the Philly and the Baltimore. So, you know, Philly's known for the cheesesteaks. Baltimore, we have crab cakes. What's your preference?
Oh, definitely crab cakes. I don't even eat cheesesteaks.
Come on now.
Good crab cake.
I don't know if you're big sports fans, but do you prefer the Ravens or the Eagles? If you had
I'm not a big sports fan, but just on hometown, I gotta go Ravens.
Yeah, I like what they're doing for sure. What was that first song that you heard as an adolescent that connected with your soul? You know, to make you realize like, hey, music is for me, or maybe the first song that you learned.
First song I learned was probably something by the Wu-Tang. Yeah, because my brother was a big Wu-Tang Clan fan. He the one that taught me how to rap. I had to battle him to sit on the front steps.
Ooh.
So he would make me, like, once he realized, like, all right, he's like, you know what, you ain't trash. I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to
Shout out to Big Bro.
Yeah, you know what, you ain't that trash. So I'm going to go ahead and, so he started having me, learn the RZAs,
The Jizzas.
RZA,
You had to know the members.
Spectre. Oh yeah, you gotta know all the aliases. You know what I'm saying? You
the
gotta
extensions.
You gotta know how many wallabies does Ghostface have, huh?
Capadonna, he like off the bench.
Yo, all of that. And then the auxiliary members like Sons of Man, they Helter Skelter and people like that. No, my brother was like hard on me about that stuff. So that was probably like the first stuff I learned.
Good hip-hop.
And then when I was able to like buy my own tapes, it was like Black Star, you know what I mean? Common, The Roots, Lyricist Lounge, like that kind of stuff. Like I was really heavy into that. And it's so wild, and of course Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
But it's so wild that I would grow up and have worked with every last one of them artists whose tapes I bought as a kid. You know what I mean?
That was gonna be my question. How did it feel that life came full circle to
Yeah.
you so soon, even with you still being in
Yeah.
your teenage years?
It was, I'm gonna tell you, so I don't know if y'all know, but I performed at the Dave Chappelle block party.
Yes.
They said they all know.
Central State University was a part of that. That's my alma mater.
Beautiful. Yeah, so that was like my first moment of like, oh my God, the manifestation is real. This is really happening. Like that was mind boggling to me. Like all the artists that I remember us like listening to as kids and like, mimicking and imitating and stuff like that. I was friends with Martin Luther, who was a singer with The Roots at the time, him and Cody Chestnut. And I had done like a little mini tour with them before the block party happened. And I didn't really, like I knew some of those guys, but not real well. And I was still like the kid in the crew. So I wasn't, you know what I mean? But I was determined that I was going to perform that day. I was going to meet Lauryn Hill and I was going to perform. And I didn't know how that was going to happen because I didn't even have an invite. But I was like, this is going to happen. I have to meet her and I got to perform. And so I ended up going there with Martin Luther, like as his background singer and sneaking in basically. Like just tell him I'm your background singer. I'm going to sneak in. I'm going to work the room after that. I'm going to figure it.
Keep moving your feet. Keep moving your feet.
Listen, yo, that's half the battle.
Showing up.
Yeah.
Oh, they
That
gotta do
is
show
half
up.
the battle.
Get through the door.
For real, that's half the
You gotta
battle.
do is get
Let
through
me
the door.
in. I'm going to figure out the rest.
Over with.
I was like, look, I won't even tell nobody I'm with you after I get in. Just let me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's a
figure it out.
strong 80% of for everybody listening. Just show up, and
Just show up.
it's up
For real, for real. Because it's so crazy. I got put out the room like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, okay, nope. That ain't how this is working out.
Yeah.
I got to figure out a way back in.
Yeah.
And who was Jill Scott and Big Daddy Kane. I was sitting reading this book called The Alchemist. I don't know if y'all read The Alchemist, but when he talks about that personal legend, I was so committed to my personal legend. Like, this is for me. Like, God has me here for a reason. This is not by mistake. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about every other girl that grew up on North and Ashburton with me. They not here. This is my personal legend. I'm here for a reason. I read these rappers' lyrics in the mirror as a 10-year-old. I'm supposed to be here, And so I'm like trying to figure out how I'm gonna like maneuver this thing. And anyway, they put me out and I was sitting outside like, this can't be right.
Yeah.
Not how my legend's supposed to work out. And Stickman from Dead Prez walked in and he started singing a song that he heard me perform a few weeks earlier. He was in my concert. I had no idea. I was like, how do you know that song? Because I'm just saying, at this point, nobody knows my music. How do you know that? It's a song my mom wrote that I was performing. And he tells me he was at my show. He loved it, da-da-da. And he tells me that his singer didn't show up.
Come on.
And asked me if I knew any of their music. And I was like, oh, my God. Let me tell you how it would torment my teachers when I was in high school with they song, day schools can't teach us. Shh, my people need freedom. I'm trying to get all we can get. Right? I'll be playing it all out. And so I was like, yeah, I know your song. Are you kidding me? So that's how it worked out. I walked back in with them. I recorded, I performed, rehearsed that song. I mean, though I did like 2 or 3 songs. They passed around SAG paperwork. I became a SAG member. Okay, I get paid to this day for the Dave Chappelle block party. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, and Lauryn Hill came. Me and her got to chop it up. Like everything that I put into the universe, said, I gotta have this. You know what I mean? It's a line I love that E.T. Thomas said, you gotta want it as bad as you want to breathe.
That's right. You gotta be in that water. Don't hear somebody you gotta be in that water.
Absolutely. And that's how I felt in that moment. And it's like, you can't stop the manifestation when it's like that. When we kind of like vacillate, like, I don't know, maybe it's maybe it's not for me. Maybe when we go there with it, or if we in our ego, like, y'all should have, how come you, it's like confidence and humility, and just let God do the rest of that. And it happened. And right after that, I ended up going on a world tour with the Roots. My first time I done been around the world, I've been around the world a lot of times now. But at that point, that was my first time doing a whole U.S. tour and doing an international tour.
Before I ask you what's your favorite stamp in your passport, how many times you got kicked out that room?
Like 3 times.
And if it wasn't for you getting kicked out the room, you wouldn't have saw Stick.
Yep.
And look at how.
Come
all right,
on.
that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm just picking up what you're putting down. It was meant for you to get kicked out the room and for this man to walk up singing your lyrics.
Yep.
And then that led to traveling the world and across the country.
Yep.
Now back to the question.
Okay.
What's your favorite stamp in your passport?
I love, it's between New Zealand and Nicaragua. I love, and probably for the same reasons, I love seeing indigenous people still 10 toes down in their culture, like with a, like the Maori in New Zealand, they just got this gulliness about them, like, you know how they do their hakas and they stick their tongue out and they do these real like aggressive dances. I like that.
Yeah.
I like, ooh, they hard, right? I just like that, and they are like serious about their culture. They've been fighting colonization for I don't know how many years. I'm sure at least 100 or more, and they still have held on to so much of their culture. They're still like, no, I'm not you. I'm me. You know what I'm saying? They will not assimilate into a British culture. You know what I mean? I love that about them. They still do their tattoos and they know their lineage. Like, I spent time out there like learning some of their culture and the whale, like their relationship with the whales and the canoe, the boats that they built. Like, I love that. And the same thing with Nicaragua. I love that their spirit, like they are fighters. They always with the, can I cuss on y'all?
It's the Mumu Fresh Show.
They
Unplugged.
always with the shits. Like, they just got this fiery passion about them. Like, I spent time out there, so beautiful, just dancing. And, my band came out there. We performed. They showed us mad love. And I'm going to tell you, that's a story. So when we landed there, so it was an election year. And so I was supposed to play right before the election. They flew me back to America and was like, we don't want you performing before the election because you could sway the vote. And I'm thinking, like, how can I sway y'all vote? I don't even know who y'all. I don't even know what's going on. So they sent me back home for like a week, and then they flew me back. So that day after they gave the results, it was like some beef around, whoever won. And so the venue that we're supposed to be performing at, people got murdered in that venue that day. Wow. Over the election. Wow. So they didn't tell me before I landed, but we got into the van, and so I was like, we headed to the venue for sound check. They said, no, because there's been some murders at the venue. We're gonna take you to the hotel. And I'm like, huh? What?
What? Yeah.
Excuse me.
How soon can an airlift happen?
Right.
Huh? Are we expecting more of this? But anyway, so because of that, we ended up postponing the show. So I had a week off because before I was hitting night by night, every day a different country. And so we ended up staying there for a week. And I started learning so much about the people and just their strength and their beauty and just they so passionate. The way they sing, their music, their like being, their everything is so passionate. And so anyway, so I learned some songs in Spanish. So by the time the show came, and I don't know if they knew who I was not ahead of time, but they packed out this place. I think it's called the Ruben Dario Theater, huge historical theater. And they packed it out. And when I hit the song in Spanish, they went bananas.
Come on.
They went bananas. And we just had like an incredible time that night. And I stayed in this like place that it used to be like a castle. It used to be a diplomat's castle. They turned into a hotel room, hotel. And so we stayed there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rooms, huge ceilings, right by the ocean, and this old little town in Grenada. And we went to visit all of these volcanoes. My son's name is Messiah, and so there was a volcano named Messiah. We went to go visit the Messiah. And so there's this one little place. We got on this boat to go visit this place called Monkey Island. And I will always remember this because I was sitting in this boat, and it's like a little speedboat. And I just started crying because I was like, music brought me here. How would I done been places that they don't even let people like me come. You know what I'm saying? Like, Like they know when you the entertainment because otherwise you wouldn't be there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and I was just like, music brought me here, just because I didn't give up, not because I'm. It's a whole lot of people that got talent that have not been able to mobilize anything with it, make it into anything, change people's lives because of it. You know what I'm saying? I've changed my whole family's trajectory. And I was just sitting on that boat, this wind blowing. I told myself, I said, remember this moment. Whenever you get weary and you start feeling like, man, fuck this shit. When you start feeling like that, remember that music brought you here.
Yes.
That you on this boat in another island, visiting, the volcano of Messiah, going to Monkey Island, you connecting with all of these people and these hearts, and we doing like real deep work around femicides. That's the other thing. The whole tour was around preventing femicide.
Okay.
So we talking to people about domestic violence, about dating violence, about femicide. We in a lot of areas with heavy drug cartel movement, and we're talking about what's the value of a woman's life. That your grandmother can't be collateral for this drug deal gone wrong, no matter what. She's not collateral, no matter what go bad with the business. What's the value of her life and her legacy and her role in the stability of the family. Like, we having conversations like that. And I was like, music brought me here. Ain't no way I'd have been here in Nicaragua. You know what I mean? Having this music brought me here. And I got, I said, I got to be grateful for that, no matter how hard stuff get. And it just, that was just like a moment for me. I took a picture of it and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to put, this is when I feel sad, I'm going to think back on this boat ride to Monkey Island.
That's dope. So how do you feel about the current state of hip hop and R&B right now?
Well, I think it's a reflection of the world, and the world is in I feel like we're in the last days. But I think what I like about the diversity that the internet has allowed to take place is that whether the mainstream will platform it or not, the diversity exists, right? If you seek it, you'll find it. There are all the voices that are reflective of the full experience, right, of the hip hop culture and R&B culture. They exist. There's a reason they're not being platformed. You know what I mean? And I think, but if we seek it, we'll find it. So I'm a part of the Recording Academy, right? I've been a part of Recording Academy for maybe 10 years. And there we have a social impact committee. I'm the chair of with Wayna, another artist from DC, and we wrote a proposal and the Grammys accepted, and it's for a category called Best Song for Social Change, to be able to uplift artists that are creating music for social change at the expense of their livelihood, at the expense, you know what I'm saying, of their careers, of their image, of saying the wrong thing. We live in a time where you say the wrong thing, it's
Cancel
a wrap
culture.
for you, right? So we wanted to celebrate. Imagine someone like Billie Holiday, who jeopardized her whole career to talk about lynching, right?
Right.
That she was threatened by the FBI. They said, stop talking, stop singing Strange Fruit. Do not talk about lynching anymore. There were people that didn't believe that lynching was happening, that we were making this stuff up in our minds. We were making up racism. Y'all are just ungrateful. You should be happy to be in the land of honey. Lynchings are not happening. But when you drive to the South, like my mother grew up before integration. She grew up in Chicago. Like, she never went to an integrated school or neighborhood or anything. She grew up in a time where you couldn't try on clothes in the store because if it touched black skin, it wasn't good enough to be sold anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so Billie Holiday jeopardized her cabaret license to talk about lynching, to put it on a worldwide stage where it had to be dealt with for years and years to come, far past her lifespan. And so we want to celebrate and lift up, platform artists that are making that necessary sacrifice to balance out the culture. We can talk about the club, cool, but let's also talk about what's going on with our kids. Let's talk about what's going on inside of our families. Let's address the elephant in the room. The things that are going to prevent us from being able to move forward as a culture, you know what I mean, as a people. Let's talk about environmental justice. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about pipelines that are muddying oiling up our water to the point that we won't have no water left to drink in 50 years. What we gonna do when we can't got no water?
Talk about it.
That's not important. No,
Right.
What you gonna do when you can't clean your liver? It ain't gonna be nothing else more important than that. You know what I'm saying? So those are the steps that we're taking. And this year, in February, when the Grammys comes this year, will be the first year that there will be someone awarded for Best Song for Social Change.
Thank you for pushing that. That's hard, Mumu.
Yep.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yep.
That's
Mumu
dope.
Because
Fresh
that
is here.
matters. We got to create the balance. We know what they going to push, but where's the balance?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's really important. If we care about our kids, we care about our future, we care about our people, we got to create the balance.
And
Yeah.
have those uncomfortable conversations.
Oh, yeah.
We're unplugged right now. Mumu Fresh, Incognito, DJ Misses. Perfect segue. I've been riding and listening to an album called Moments from the Crib by an artist that you work with, Toby Nwigwe. How was it, teaming up, creating, and coming up with a record with him?
Man, Toby is incredible. Their whole team, their staff, I've really never seen nobody move the way that they move. As independent artists, as just as a father, as a husband, as a leader. It's incredible to watch. It is really a sight to behold, just what they've been able to create on their own. And also, like, Toby had an idea, and it didn't matter if you believed in it. He was going to push it until you did, until the world, rapped along, sang along. Like, oh, my God. His vision is relentless. I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed. If there's anyone I've ever been in awe of in the music industry in terms of their business acumen and how they move creatively, aesthetically, just really having a vision and seeing it through and not following the trend and really, and creating a movement and just the team structure. I'm big on business. I study teams. I study how things work. It's incredible, what he's been able to do, and it's so necessary. It's so necessary that he exists. So I'm grateful that I told him, I was like, man, I'm glad you exist. It's important. It's so important, to the culture that you exist and that you stand firm on what you about and that you don't bend and fold. That's so important, So now we had a great time. I mean, it was short and sweet. We professionals. We came and shot that video. And it was a one take. There's one shot here, maybe 2 shots over there, and it was a wrap. We went home. You know what I mean? We focused and got it done. Yep. And then we did the tour. I did the tour with them, the Monumental tour. It was incredible. Energy was on fire. It was bananas. Yeah.
That's dope. So, with you advocating to have these uncomfortable conversations, being on tour, how is Mumu Fresh protecting her peace? And what is keeping you going?
Yeah.
Consistent.
Let me tell you. It's a daily. We have to work on it daily, right? So there are tools, right? You always got to search for tools. I'm actually opening a retreat center, a Sacred Sound retreat center in Virginia for just this, for rejuvenation, for sound healing. We're going to be like facilitating sound baths that are cleansing, full chakra cleansing.
That's what I got to sleep to.
Yeah, cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. Like, we want people to be able to leave this facility with tools to manage their lives in Babylon, right? Because we know, right, we live in a crazy, sick environment, right? So when you feel off, it's not you. It's this environment, right? When I just started planting since my brother transitioned. He got me into plants now. But when a plant is not growing and doing well, right, it's not something wrong with the plant, right? We say, does it get enough water? Is it getting enough sun? Maybe the temperature's not right. Maybe the sun, and then you talk to it nice. You know what I mean? I talk to my plants like, baby,
That's funny because my mom talks to her plant. My mom has had a plant, literally, it has to have been before I was born. And she got it from her mom. And the plant, incredible. Like, she done had times where she done had to cut leaves off, and it's still growing.
It looks like pruning season.
It literally looks like a mini palm tree in our living room.
And sometimes you gotta shed them old leaves for new ones to grow. Come on,
It's
somebody.
Come on, somebody. Times it only had 2 leaves on it, and then I'll come back, visit from college, and then it's fully grown.
Wow.
And she'll sit there and talk to it.
And that's so important, being able to have that season of rest. In the industry, you're supposed to keep going,
Yes.
like you're a machine.
Yes.
But you're not. Everything God created got seasons of rest,
That's
right?
right.
And we gotta have those seasons where we look ugly. Where,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't get my nails done all COVID, and I was happy about that. Okay,
That's how you come up.
you know what I mean? My nails grew very strong and healthy because you need that downtime, and we're taught to not take that. And it's hard, even for me. Like knowing that, it's still so hard for me to like have, because I'm a high achiever, to take that balance and that downtime, because you come back stronger. But it's like we need that. When you take downtime, people say crazy stuff like, oh, you done fell off. Not, you're rejuvenating, you're talking to God, you're deepening your connection with source and with your center. They don't say that, you know what I mean? But that's really what it takes to really be able to, otherwise we stay burnt out, and you stay performing at only a percentage of your capacity because you're tired all the time.
You could be 100% if you just breathe.
Yeah.
Take a rest.
We can learn so much. And being somebody, you know, my mom is Choctaw, so she always has talked to me a lot about look at nature. You know what I'm saying? In the Quran it says, look for God in the signs of nature. Like, right, in any holy scripture, we always talk about nature and follow nature, because nature gonna do what God said. Nature not gonna follow their own will. They're gonna do what God said. So look at the trees when they take breaks. You know what I mean? Look at the animals when they hibernate. Why you think you any different, right? But this society keep you chasing something, and that's not the divine way of things. You know what I mean? So anyway, so this retreat center in Virginia, my grandmother bought this land, and she said that she wanted it to be a place for cultural restoration, you know what I mean, to relearn our heritage and our culture, to learn traditional songs, to sing to each other, to pray with each other, and just a place of healing. And then she passed away a month after that.
Wow.
You know, so my mother has passed this mantle on to me to create this. And listen, I need it as bad as I want to give it, you know what I mean? And so I'm that's my next year project. So sometime in the summer, God willing, we look to be able to do a full launch and have artists come down and rejuvenate. You know
Post It on the Corner got to be in there for sure.
Come on.
We need a hard reset.
Getting centered.
Push the button.
He said getting centered.
Tapping into my legend.
Come on now.
No, we
So
need that.
if Mumu Fresh had the power to change anything about this industry, anything but one thing, what would you change?
Well, because I'm a woman, I would absolutely change the way women are dealt with.
Hello.
I would absolutely change the options that women feel like we have. You know, I remember thinking when I got into the industry, just like that it was something wrong with me, you know, that because I grew up Muslim, so I was not about to get naked, and it really wasn't any place for me. It wasn't any representation for women who was like me and who had, you know, the kind of upbringing, you know, moral upbringing as I did. I kind of felt like, damn, is there no place for a woman, and a black woman in particular, in this industry besides bent over? I just couldn't find a place. I was like, where is it? What are we able, you know what I mean? And I just would love to see that be different. You know what I'm saying? I would love, and it's not, if that's what you want to do, cool, but there are a lot of people who don't want to do it and don't feel like they have much of an option. And it's not just men. Women perpetuate misogyny all the time to each other. You know what I mean? Force each other into situations that is not healthy for them. And as long as it's making money, nobody cares. And you don't care about the well-being of that person, the mental health of that person. It's just like, how much can you produce until, you know, we get our you know, we get our money. We get our money back. We get whatever our return on investment is. And no, never mind to the well-being of that person. That's not just a women. Men are dealt with the same way as well. But being a woman, I hate the over sexualization of women, and when women feel like they don't have a choice in the matter, you feel pressured into becoming something that you're not. You know, like every woman don't show up in the world the same way. We don't all want to look the same way and say the same things. And so I just feel like when artists get so pressured into having to portray a role that's not real for us, and if you don't, then, you know, you don't get support. I would love to see that be changed. I would love to, so that there is more room for the diverse expression of what it means to be a Black woman or to be a woman in the industry. Like there are so many different so many different expressions of that. And I would love to see us just be able to be our whole selves. I would love to see us be able to mature and grow. We don't always have to be saying the same thing. You know, when we 18, that you say when you're 28, you're supposed to grow, baby. You should not be having the same conversations. You know what I mean? At 18 and 28, you should be allowed to develop as a human being and as a spiritual being. And that still is cool. That's still celebrated. You should want to take care of your kids and and eat healthy. And you know what I mean? Because you find artists that are in their real life, right? So in their artist life, they talking all the crazy. I'm getting drunk, hanging with my ratchet friends. I'm bent over. I'm doing da. And in their real life, they be doing yoga. They be vegan. They be going to the little prayer visuals. I'm like, but why don't you? Well, I can't talk about it though. I can't say I'm doing this. I gotta pretend like I'm still in the club. No, you don't want to be in the club. There's nothing there that you want. You in a whole solid relationship pretending like you out here running around. You don't want to do that. It's nothing in there. That don't feel good. You do it long enough. It don't feel good. You know what I mean?
Yo, so recently, Sweetie claimed that women are running rap and hip hop now due to so much violence and disrespect in the male music. How do you feel about that?
I don't know that that's the reason why. I mean, I think it's the same. I don't think it's any less. The nature of females rapping is not less gratuitous than men. I don't think so. It's just in different ways. I don't think like female rap is more healthy. You know what I mean? At all. No. You know what I mean? Like,
I think she was saying more so like the fun aspect of music now, like, cause the women, like, you know, we gonna pop it and shake it and we gonna go out and kick it and everything like that. I think she was more so saying like the men aren't doing that no more. Like they ain't talking about we pop champagne or we doing that or we doing this. And also they're not talking about what you're saying as well, uncomfortable conversations. I feel like a lot of male rappers like a Rod Wave, they get deep into their feelings, which causes other young men to talk about their feelings. But I think she was more so saying like they're taking the fun.
They're taking the fun up. I don't know. I can't. That's hard for me to really speak to as the reason why. I think it's time in general. Like I feel like you see Black women getting a platform across the board. Like there's more funding for young Black entrepreneurs. It's more programming. Like I think it's just our time. And I think also coming out of the Trump administration, and with 2020, like all of the public racial discrimination and violence, I feel like it gave way for the conversation to be had a little bit more, where some of these companies also feel pressured to platform Black women in a different way than they did before. Like there's not a company that a major, white company that doesn't have a diversity and inclusion department.
Came up so many now.
Yeah. I mean, coming from not having any to now, you kind of need to have it, is so I don't know. I can't say why it's happening besides it's just time. And, but I also feel like for a lot of, young rappers, part of it is like they are expressing what's going on in their environment. Not a lot of people are having fun. I feel like this generation, my son's generation, are the most depressed out of every generation.
Seriously.
You know what I'm saying? Are dealing with heavy mental health challenges. So they may not be in the club having a good damn time. You know what I mean? I think it's reflective. So it's really hard to say that's the reason why. I think it's a lot of things playing into it, and we just gotta do our best to take advantage of whatever,
If you could work with any young rapper or R&B artist, who would you work with?
How young are we talking?
However. That's new in the industry. That's been making some noise. Female, male.
I gotta think about this. I don't know. It depends. I gotta think about it. I haven't done a whole lot of collaborations, and for me, I think it's just It would just have to, the energy would have to be right. We had to connect on something that felt authentic. Yeah, I had to think about it. I'm not real sure. Yeah.
Ain't usually asked this, but what's your favorite Ratchet song? I got to know.
You know what song? I don't even know if I like the whole song, but I like Cardi's verse on Tomorrow. I like Cardi verse.
I love Tomorrow. It's just
funny.
the part of every day the sun won't shine,
Tomorrow.
but that's why I love Tomorrow.
It is.
That's a Negro spiritual at this point. Like, come on, y'all.
Every day the sun ain't gonna shine.
Yeah, I like the concept of that. Yeah. Ride with my twin and them.
Hey, I know that's right. So
you may
if
weep at night.
Right.
Joy cometh in the morning.
So if you could go back in time and talk to Lunar Eclipse,
okay,
what advice would you give her?
Man, I would say trust yourself. Don't let people talk you out of what you already know in your intuition. Like when you real young, right, and fiery, they'll call it arrogance instead of intuition. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying this because I'm arrogant. I'm saying this because I feel strongly about it. Like, I'm convicted. I feel like I want to do this. When I was deciding to be independent, that's what, like, it wasn't trendy to be independent. Like, now that's like a cool thing to say you're independent, even when people not, right? Because people will say they're independent because they're on an independent label. No, your label's independent. You are not. You got a regular 360 deal.
Yeah. Come on, gang.
Your label's independent. And they don't get that. And so, when I was deciding, like, leaving a major label to be like, nah, I'm going to go independent, that sounded crazy to them. Like, why do you think you can do this? And I'm not like I had no team and no staff and no nothing. It's just in my heart, I just felt like, well, I feel like I'm not being given the opportunity to be myself and to be authentic. And I want to figure out who I am without you telling me who I am. Like, I still got to explore myself and figure out what I believe and what my sound is without you telling me what it is. And so I just need space to kind of do that. So I'm going to, when I was given an opportunity to get out of the contract, I was like, I'm out. You know what I mean? I don't know what y'all doing. I told the rest of my rap group, I don't know what y'all doing, but I'm out. Because I went and bought studio equipment. I learned how to produce. I learned how to engineer. And I just started, like, just spending time in the studio with myself, just trying to figure out what I wanted to sound like and what was important to me. And artists don't get that opportunity a lot of time. People always are projecting onto you and telling you who you are before you even get a chance to figure out who you are, So, like, what was the question you asked me?
What would you tell the younger?
What would you tell your
so I would just tell her, like, trust yourself. Don't let people talk you into, like, not believing in what you feel strongly about, that you're going to get everything that you was looking for. You know what I mean? Like, because when I was starting out, like, all I just really want to do was go on tour. I ain't have like a certain amount of money that I wanted to make or a certain amount of, like, I just was like, I just want to do music. I want to go on tour. I want to be able to help my parents out. I got this early rap where my dad had, maybe when I was like 9th grade, my dad went to prison, or maybe it's 8th grade, either one. But I remember saying, I'm going to get you out, Dad.
I know that's right.
I was like, in my mind, I was going to make enough money to get my dad out. It don't work like that. Well, for some people it does. But
for some people it don't.
For some people it does. But, yeah, so, I had regular hood dreams, you know what I mean? I just wanted to, like, help my parents. I just wanted to travel the world.
To live off your dreams.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and I felt strongly about being the best. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to battle like every rapper and just be the greatest. Like, I just wanted my when I was little, I was like, my tombstone just gonna say, here lies the best to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? And that was just like, I ain't have a whole lot of dreams about, like, necessarily being famous as much. I just wanted to be great. Because those are two different things.
Hello?
You can be very famous and still not be great.
Come on.
So I just wanted to be great, and whatever else came with that, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wanted, and all of my heroes, they attest. They will attest to my greatness. They will. They will.
And you got some legendary people behind you, girl.
I am your favorite rapper's favorite rapper now.
Come on. You better pop it, Mumu Fresh. You better pop it.
And I've been able to have balance. Like, I've been able to raise my son. That was really important to me, right? Because I had a lot of opportunities when my son was small that I did not take because I wanted to raise my son. I didn't want him calling nobody else mommy. And I saw that with so many of my heroes, they didn't get a chance to raise their kids because they had to choose the music. And I just ain't want that for him. I wanted to raise him. I wanted to be his primary influence. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to homeschool him. I wanted to teach him. I wanted to be able to to like, and we got such a relationship now where he will like talk to me about everything, even when it's uncomfortable for me. I'm like, oh my God, are we having this conversation? But like, I wanted that. I'm so grateful that, that and he's toured with me. I've taken my son all over the world. Like his math class was running my merchandise. So like first time we went to Europe, I went to Europe first without him, and then I came back to get him. And I was like, all right, so look, we can't ship the merch over there because the queen going to tax us like crazy, and they're going to take our merch. So we're going to produce merch over there. So I started breaking down to him how much a pound was, and what was the conversion rate for $1, and how much we need to buy it for, and how much we got to sell it for in order to make that money. And then we got to put a percentage aside for taxes while we over there. And how much does the venue cost, and how many people do we have to sell to in order to make this? So we put that in a spreadsheet. That's my son's math homework. You know what I'm saying?
That's so dope.
Like, totally changed the trajectory of how he look at the world and look at himself. Because I'm telling you, as Black people, man, we struggle so much with that confidence thing because of colonization that it stole so much from us of who we are, who we was meant to be. And I find that so much it's like before we even know what we are, we know that somebody hate us. And all a child gonna say is, well, what's wrong with me? They're not gonna say what's wrong with the system. What's wrong with me? What did I do? Why don't you like me? Why am I not getting a fair shake? So before that even happened, I wanted him to know why you great and why you deserve this, why they owe you, and why they gonna pay up, and why the world is your oyster and you can go anywhere and do whatever you want. Of course we can, right? When people tell him, oh, you got to do things this way and this way and that way, that's one way.
I'm gonna do it mine.
That's one way, but it's a whole bunch of different ways. It's just about how much you believe in it. We'll leave this whole system if you want. What country you want to go to? What you want to do? You don't like the school that what the principal say? We leave the school. What they say? We'll go above them. We'll go right to college. Matter of fact, we're going right to college. We testing out of high school. We're going right to college. We don't got to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I wanted him to just think like that. Like, you're not trapped in their trapping. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be like certain things. All right, cool. If you choose a certain course, you gotta move how they want you to move. But there's a lot of other courses that you can choose to and choose freedom at every cost. You know what I mean? When you get an option, choose freedom every time. And that's what the balance of the life that I've lived of. I got one foot in the music industry, but I got one foot in real life, grounded and planted in the soil, because I wanted my offspring to know that, to understand that, to spend that time going to the sweat lodge, going to the powwow, understanding your culture and your heritage and what you meant to be, and that this Babylon one day gonna be torn down, okay? And what's gonna be standing after that? Who are you without it? Who are you without this construct? If you don't know who you are without this construct, you better spend some time figuring it out, because when it come down, what are you left with? Who are you really? And what are you meant to do? This is an illusion. So who are you really, right? So those are the kind of conversations that we was able to have. I can take you here so you can see it a little bit, but I ain't going to let you stay there. I'm going to pull you out of it. Because I don't want you to never believe that illusion is real, because it's not, you know? So, yeah.
Congratulations on your Unplugged tour.
Thank you.
Which is leading to the Unplugged album.
Come on.
What is your favorite song to perform?
What's my favorite song? Probably either like Work in Progress or Say My Name. But I probably the most like creating on stage. I like creating new songs that no one knows. Sorry guys, you're looking for something familiar? I'm about to make up something new. Yeah. I like performing, like looping and creating live loops and just like creating in the moment on stage. I just feel like you don't see that. You know what I mean? I remember doing this jam session with a lot of artists that will never be named. And I was really surprised to realize that they were not able to sing songs that they hadn't rehearsed in that key, in that tempo. And you know what I mean? Like the way I came up, I could sing any song, transpose it in the moment into any key, into any time signature. And that's how, because when you were live musicians, I was in a jazz band led by Charles Fun in West Baltimore. East Baltimore. Heck yeah, he played with Count Basie and Duke Ellington, and he ain't play with us about being able. It's just like freestyling, but for a singer, for a musician. Like you gotta be. The music is alive. Be a part of it. Be an active participant. If you can't do music unless it's written out and is hey these are the restraints in which you're not really artist yet. You got training wheels on, you know what I mean? So you can get out there and swim in the free water of creativity. And then that's when you let God use you. Otherwise, when you stuck in your box, how God gonna use you inside of that box? You know what I mean? So I just like to create on stage, but I'll say my fans love work in progress. Whenever I do that song, people get to stand up and shouting and,
For sure. Hey, hard work beat talent when talent don't work hard.
Come on.
But if talent works hard, you in trouble.
Posted on the corner.